All right. Hello, everybody. Today we are here with my father, the one and only, John McCarthy. So I've always looked up to my dad for his healthy and balanced lifestyle that he lives, and for what he prioritizes in his life. He's always been family first. He played basketball and football at Amherst College, where he also met my mom, Sue McCarthy. And he was also a star coach in our youth leagues, and now our biggest fan at all of our sports games. So, Dad, thanks for joining Kayla and me today. We're going to kick off today with our first question. So, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
As you said, I'm the proud father of one of the founders of CORE and happy to join you. I mean, that's a deep question. It can be a deep question. And I actually loved what you guys said about yourselves when you introduced yourselves to the world of CORE. I think you kind of said the people behind the keyboard. And I think that's kind of key to, you can always say your name and what you do and all that stuff, but I think really deeper than that is kind of what you stand for mostly. And for me, it's father, like you said, husband, son, brother. Those are the four most important things in my life because it's key to the family is the most important thing. So, what you do is not really who you are. Some people it is, but for me, those are the most important things and kind of how I prioritize my life. I also, because I looked back and read these things, I looked at Kayla's and yours, and Kayla's was, I think, faith, family, and friends. And we'll get into a little bit maybe, but one of the things I think about when I retire, I always think about F's, and yours were three F's. So that's why it kind of stuck with me. I can't wait for family, spend more time with family. I have fun, fitness, finances, all the F's. And I've thought about those things on my bike rides and stuff. So it's kind of interesting that your F's kind of lined up with my F's. But that's really the most important thing about me, I think, is that who I am as a family member, whether it's within my own family that I grew up with, or the family that we've grown together in Medfield and raised together in Medfield. Fun, I think, when you're working all the time and you're spending your life 30, 35 years kind of pounding away at stuff, you got to kind of remember to do the fun things. That's where I've been a little bit weak, but I like to laugh and the like, but I want to do more fun things on the back. I think I'm beyond the back nine of my life, but maybe in the last four or five holes.
Don't say
Have some
that.
more fun that way. It's just true. It's just factual. I mean, if you want to know a little bit about what I do, and because that's part of the question and why I do what I do, I'm a corporate lawyer. I've been a corporate lawyer for 32 years since 1993. I started out in kind of finance at a private bank on Wall Street for two years out of Amherst College, and then 32 years of being a lawyer at big firms in New York and Boston is kind of where I trained at big firms. But I think for purpose of this thing, it's really what I learned off the bat is what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be a grinder at a big firm because I saw people that were partners that were 15, 20 years older than me or 10 years older than me. And I kind of knew early on that I didn't want to be that, where they have a lot of money, they have a lot of things, but that wasn't really what I wanted. I wanted kind of control over my life. So very quickly, after 4 or 5 years, I kind of got out of the big firms and have kind of been working for myself as a partner at small firms for the last 20, well, if it's 32 minus five, it's the last 27 years has been kind of my own boss. So why do I do what I do? And to answer that question, um, I think first of all you're kind of exploring when you get out of college what you want to do. It's the first time that you're working, all day long. My back was hurting. I was used to playing sports all day and being active, and then you're sitting down for 6 or 8 or 10 hours a day, and you're like, oh my God. You're kind of learning what you want to do. And from a work perspective, I didn't like what I was doing off the bat, so I went to law school because that was kind of a seed that my father planted with me a long, long time ago. I think he always wanted to be a lawyer deep down. He was a pro basketball player, which is not a bad option if you're good enough. But he wanted to be a lawyer, I think. And so I ended up going to law school. And it's a great education, I would say, to anybody who wanted to go to law school. It's a long grind of 3 years, but you learn so much. It's kind of like a liberal arts education with a little more, focus about reading and writing and thinking and all sorts of things like that. So it's never a waste to go to law school. A lot of people don't like being a lawyer after they become a lawyer. But, back to the point about balance, and we'll get to that. It's like I wanted more control over my time. So very early on, I got out of that stuff and went and became my own boss. So it's a challenging profession. It's intellectually stimulating on some days, But the biggest reason is that I wanted to be my own boss, coach you guys in youth sports, call my own shots, make my own schedule. And I've been doing that for 25, 30 years where I can prioritize. I mean, work's a priority because I work to live. I don't live to work. Some people are fortunate to be the other way around, but I work to live to be able to support my family and spend time with my family and coach all four of the kids in multiple sports over many years. That's all in the past, 15 years later. But, when I was whatever the age I was, 30, 31 years old, I said, I'm done with this big firm stuff. I'm going to the small firm. And the other thing about that is that you control your own destiny when you work for yourself. You guys are learning it now. You're kind of exploring this new venture.
But yeah, did we
I
tell you
always
that
work for the
we're
man.
yeah, did we tell you that we're both quitting our jobs and just doing this?
Well, you got to have some income. That's important too. I got to tell you
Never
about
know.
income.
Never. We'll get there. Yeah, I can't.
So, I mean, it allows you to do things you want to do. It's not easy because you don't really leave it. You kind of live it. Especially in law and you got deals and things. So, important thing is kind of control over your time. And you guys will learn that. And when you own your own business, sometimes you don't feel that way. And a lot of times at the beginning of that, that's how you feel is you don't have control over your time. But the more, if you hire people to do some of the tasks that you might not want to do, or as you get older and can do some certain things, and you can control even more of your time. So
Yeah.
I have no regrets about that, spending
Also,
time with the family.
yeah, well, you keep mentioning family too, so I'm curious. It is one of the most important things to you. Why do you think that is? Like, can you speak to, we talked to Joe too a little bit about like about your childhood, whether it's
Yeah.
anything to do with Grandma Dottie.
Well, on the family side, I think we grew up in a close family. Not a lot of money, but a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of troubles and, adversity and divorced parents and, at various ages. Joey was only 9, 10, and 11 before my parents divorced, those period up before the divorce. I was like 13 to 15. I think about that. I was 15 when it happened. It was really happens over time. But we really didn't have a lot financially, but we had kind of each other and it was different back then. It was just activity, playing sports, doing things. So family was always very important. On the religious side, that was, we were brought up Catholic and we would go to church. My dad was very Catholic growing up, Irish Catholic, parents come over from Ireland. But as we grew older, my mother was less ingrained in the Catholic Church and and moved over to spirituality. So that's really where Joey lives, is in the spiritual world. I actually still have a little bit of like the Catholic faith in me in terms of praying and kind of, but I do it for myself
Yeah.
and personally if I'm doing praying, it's just in bed or laying around or on my bike or something like that. It's not, I got to go to church or talk to people about it. So I still have that at my core, but it's not like I'm going to church or taking the kids to church. It's really got to be, I think, a personal thing.
Yeah.
So for Joey, it's important. That really comes from my mother, as some of my family members have that spiritual. They're not really into the formal religion piece of it and the doctrine of Catholicism or being a Protestant or whatever it is. So there's that from our faith, just because we grew up as Irish Catholics and went to Catholic grammar school too, from kindergarten through eighth grade, where we have religion class. Then we went to Catholic high school. We have religion class as part of your curriculum, so it's there every day. And so I think that stuff sticks with you. I don't. It's ultimately your own personal decision, and so that's why I say it's important to me, but it's not. I don't. The church thing and the
I always say too, like you're talking about the faith versus spirituality, and I think it kind of the the doctrine of a church or something like it. I feel like that's not like the true reason why you would go to church and stuff, but like, and I think that the like essence of spirituality kind of just can spread throughout life, whether it is like you're on your bike and you're praying to yourself, or kind of just like how you show up in the world. I was saying to Maggie, I'm like, even though I think we kind of talk about this, and she's like, I wouldn't say I'm very spiritual, but I'm like, I think that like you allow spirit to come through you, and that's why you show up in this world as such like a special and amazing person. And so regardless of whether you practice it as like I'm going to church or I'm sitting down and praying every night, like there's the natural spirituality of like who you are that like shows up in the world. And I feel like my like perception of you and like your whole family is like you guys are spiritual people who know what matter in life, and you focus on just like you talking about like family and how important that is for you. It's like that's a spiritual practice to like know that that's what you care about.
It's really about your relationships. That's the religion can come through that. There's so much in religion about respecting others and do unto others as you would have them do unto yourselves, the golden rule. And to me, it's like living it. It's not professing it or telling people about it. It's like, is that person care about other people? Does that person respect other people for who they are? Do they live their life the right way? Not who do they believe in? What do they believe in? It's really about, respect for other people. And it really, that's why I think the organized religions sometimes have led to more bad things than good in some respects over the millennia.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you said that too about like it doesn't really matter. I feel like you don't really care about like labels or like, oh, you're religious or you're not religious or whatever. And that's kind of how you live your life too. I think you just kind of do what you do what you care about, but you don't, I don't know how to say it, but you
You don't
don't
preach it to other
you don't
people. You
preach
have
it.
to
You
just,
just do it. Yeah. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
care about family, you work hard, but you don't have to tell everybody that you're working so hard.
yeah.
And that's one of the things I look up to too about. Let's see, what direction do we want to take this in? I
So
think
we don't have to go this way either, but I think kind of hearing more about kind of like your childhood and family life and kind of what how that shaped like perspective on family and how important that is. But like maybe you had a dad who was a professional basketball player and you had a mom that I've heard is like focused on wellness and has a lot of perspective on that. So I think kind of hearing about how like fitness and wellness cause was kind of like shaped into who you are at an early age.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Like a lot of people have trouble staying in physical shape because they don't like to work out. When you grow up playing sports, like I didn't really work out or train for sports. I just played sports. You know what I mean? Back in the
what
day,
Joe
you just
said.
went and
Yeah.
played sports. It was like when I first started dating Sue, I had never gone running. She would go running and sign up for a road race, and I'm like, what's running? I know what running is, but when we grew up, it was just playing the sport. So
Yeah.
physical fitness has always been a part of my life, and it not with no breaks in the action. It was organized. It was kind of playing on the playground. Then it was organized sports once you hit seventh and eighth grade. Then it wasn't really before that. Then high school, and we were lucky enough to play in college. Some of my siblings, and then from there, it's just like I like to work out. So to me, it's a big part of my day. I wouldn't, be as happy if I wasn't doing it. So if it's part of your routine, then it's a lot easier to maintain. If it's back to your question about Kayla, about what it was like to be in the family, is like it was always activity and always kind of stay in shape and playing sports. And it was like an extension of that once you get out of college. The weird part about it is you're no longer in organized sports. You don't have the camaraderie of team. So it's really within your own personal being to make do and go out and do it. You can play kind of pickup basketball. I played pickup basketball from, 22 to 45 with a big group of players. And that kind of gave me the social connections to a lot of people. But since that time, 45 to 50, 8, going on 59, it's really been my own kind of personal motivation to do different things, marathons and setting goals. Those types of things are important to me, and it's easier for me to kind of stick to that routine if I kind of set goals.
Yeah.
Um,
You keep saying routine. Can you speak a little to your routine of what it
oh,
looks
my routine is
like and
a
how
little
it's
nuts.
changed?
It's a little nuts.
Yeah.
Well, it's changed in the last 3 months.
Wait, you would classify it as nuts? You would call yourself nuts?
Well, I
I'm
think,
actually
yeah,
no,
I mean, I
I'm
have a lot to
joking.
say about fitness and wellness and balance and all that stuff if you guys have 2 or 3 hours, but I don't think we have 2 or 3
We have
hours.
all the
Go on.
time.
Um, I've always kind of liked working out, to, 5, 6 days a week, and I always felt like I was in shape. And um, but then I would go to the doctors, and they would put me on. There's a chart that says if you're this height and this weight, this is good, this is bad, you're in this thing. And I was always showing up as obese, and I'm like, I don't really think I'm obese, but they had me at a certain weight, and I'd always try to lose a little bit of weight before that doctor's visit just to, not be in the obese range. But again,
I'd always get a call like a month before the doctor's appointment. Hey Maggie, like I'm getting my way in a month. Can you help me make my pyramid or like set my goals?
Oh, that's so
and
funny.
because I
But
was
yeah,
working out 6 and 7 days a week and I felt like I was in shape, I'm like, that's just crazy. It doesn't measure the muscle weight and all this other stuff. So, and I just gone on and on. And I always was playing basketball and doing certain things and biking, and And then most recently, I went for COVID came, my doctor retired. Um, it had been a year and a half or 2 years since I went to my annual physical. So I went to an annual physical on January 1st with a new nurse practitioner. And she gave me the results. And she kind of said some things that I think were just like on the borderline, which was, you're pre-diabetic and your cholesterol was high and stuff that, I think it was just over the edge of what's, the ranges. So then I went bananas from January 1 to February 6. I got some advice from Core, believe it or not. You can use this as an advertisement about nutrition and things that I could do to try to reduce those numbers and make them, more palatable to the doctor. So I basically went for a dry January, no alcohol, didn't have any milk, didn't have any bread, changed my whole routine. And
Sorry to
from
interrupt again, but how hard was that dry January with mom?
not hard at all,
No,
really.
I'm jo with mom
No.
going out
Yeah.
and being like,
Yeah, it was harder. I had a
take
pusher.
class with
I
me.
had a
Yeah.
pusher on
Mom the
me,
pusher.
like a drug pusher. So from December 1st to today, I've lost like 25 pounds, which is the lowest that I've ever been in like 30 years, 35 years. And a lot of that's from advice from Maggie and Core and reading up on really what I'm eating. But I was also swimming, and I've also been swimming a lot the last 18 months. As Maggie knows, I go to the pool probably 25 times a month over at Kingsbury and swim a mile or 2 miles and do a lot of thinking about things like we were talking about on the bike ride, thinking about all sorts of things. And I don't know what you guys do for long walks or runs. But when you're in the pool for, 60 or 75 minutes, it's kind of boring. So there's a lot to think about if that's the way you want to approach it. And I think about things about family and life and work and those types of things and kind of things that I want to do in retirement. So that whole period of the last 18 months, it was getting me in shape. It's a really low impact way to exercise and you get your whole body exercise in. And, I set goals for each day. Maggie may remember this. I have every day. I have every day for the last 2 years when I went to the pool, how far I swam, what I did, and tried to meet certain goals for the year. So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying when I got back into the doctors, I just got serious about getting in better shape,
Yeah.
better than shape than you think you're in good shape. Now I didn't even think I had 25 pounds to lose, but apparently I did. And it was really just, you had some questions in here about the thing that you learn most about wellness. I think that you would tell to either your older self or to your younger self or to other people. And it would be nutrition, you know what I mean? Nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. I mean, people told me that all the time, but I didn't always believe it because I'm saying, because I'm working out so much, I really don't need to control my diet. I can eat whatever I want because I'm working out, sweating and stuff like that. So that's been the key revelation for me. It's like, Kayla, your dad's in real estate, and they say in real estate, the three most important things in real estate are location, location, location,
Yeah.
whether it's your commercial or residential. And I
Yeah.
would say for this,
Yeah.
for getting your body in shape, even your brain and just how you feel about yourself, that the key
Yeah.
exercise is what everybody tries and all stuff, but it's really nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. It's kind of what you're putting in your body, how often you're putting in your body. And so one of the things Maggie and I have been working on is not, just eating from 12 to 8 and eating healthy and eating, and the right stuff in the right portions. And
Hmm.
what you find, this is what I would say to anybody that I see in the gym. So I'm in the gym every day and I just see people doing the wrong things, day after day after day. It's really just, it's the
Yeah.
kitchen. And what you find after doing that for a month or two or three is that you don't even really need that much food. You almost feel awful when you're hungry and you eat a big plate of food because your stomach has already contracted from kind of the month or two or however long you're, whether fasting or just eating right or eating less. And you feel bloated and you feel awful. So I've kind of gotten to that point. I still have my weaknesses, as Maggie knows, at night,
Yeah.
when nobody's looking. But
But that's
to
part of
me,
the
that's the
reason.
key.
But for you, we looked at like the pre-diabetic, and like you said, it was probably on like a scale that it was just kind of, it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily true, but it kind of put an alarm off, and in any way, it was helpful, even if it wasn't true. But we did research about like what how you can control that. And there was a study done on mice, Kayla, or rat or mice, not rats. Um, but that like time controlled eating was so beneficial for like the amount of like time for your digestive system to relax. And I think not only that, I think for you, Dad, it was easy because you were if your work day went late or you kind of couldn't control about like when you were eating your meals necessarily, then it would lead to snacking at the end of the night. So instead of thinking too much about what you were eating, it was like, all right, if I can give you, Dad, something like controllable that you can, whether it's the time, like, okay, at 8 p.m., no matter what, like, I'm not gonna snack
What was your
anymore.
you
Then it's kind
Maggie
of,
Maggie sent me a thing, Kayla, that was I think it was the ins and the outs or something, like the yeses and the no's. It's like
Yeah.
all the things to do and all the things to stop doing. So I kind of
Yeah.
printed that out and
I
it's
love
pretty
it.
simple. It's stuff that you guys kind of put on your website every once in a while. But if you just live by that simple thing, and I think the thing that for me it's really what spurs you to do it. So it's like a challenge, like showing up on the obesity scale. I knew I wasn't obese, but just kind of showing up made me want to lose weight every time I went in.
Yeah.
Showing up on this like pre-diabetic and high cholesterol was like kind of pissed me off, even though I
yeah,
knew it wasn't really a health scare or anything. I was like, when you see me in a month or 5 weeks, I'm gonna prove to you that I can get it down. So I showed up a month later, 14 pounds lighter. And she goes, no, you didn't lose 14 pounds. Like I said, yeah, I did. And then she goes, oh, yeah, you did.
it's like the competitive piece.
Yeah. I love
But
it.
Yeah, the
Dad,
competitive piece of it. Yeah.
yeah, and not only the fact that they measured it and told you something, but what do you think, like, because we've had these conversations over like the past however many years, what do you think really changed it? Was it that like competitive thing from the nurse, or was it like what, I don't know, what flip
I
switched, or
mean,
what
every
goals did you
once in a while, I
set?
don't know how you guys do it. Like every once in a while, a couple times a year, I say, okay, whether it's bathing suit season or something like, I don't really think too much about that, but just more like if I get on the scale, and I know that getting on the scale is not the healthiest thing in the world to kind of always monitor it that way, but that's how I do it. That's how I kind of motivate myself. I would say, well, over the next 45 days, I'm going to do X.
Yeah.
And I would start it and do okay. Or sometimes during Lent, I would say, I'm going to do this every day or not do this every day. Um, but it would just be intermittent, it would just be for
Yeah.
that month or two. So what I'm trying to do and kind of gets to some of your questions is like make it a routine, make it a habit, um, not make it a 2 month thing or a 3 month thing, just make it an everyday thing for the rest of my life. And it's like I said, it's really January, February, March, half of April into it, and
Yeah.
it's working out. It doesn't really feel like what's the word? Um,
Like depriving yourself of
yeah,
anything, maybe?
depriving myself of
Yeah.
It's
anything.
like a lifestyle shift,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And like I always thought, especially with alcohol, alcohol is like a little bit of a crutch, it kind of makes you feel comfortable. And, I like the taste of it and all that stuff, but a lot of times you really don't need it. If you're a good conversationist and you're having fun and you're with the right people and telling jokes and stuff, you don't need that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You think you do sometimes, but you really don't.
Totally.
And then the next day, whether it's now, if it's 2 or 3 beers, if I had, which I've had once or twice in the last month or so, it's like you don't feel as good the next day. It's just like, what was that? Oh yeah, that was 2 beers. So
Yeah.
I'm a cheap date, but it's like you don't really even need that. I'm again not casting aspersions on somebody who wants to have 2 or 3 or 5 beers if they want, but for me, I've kind of found over the last couple of months that I don't even need that.
I think about it, I'm like, okay, if I want to change my routine, focus on doing something for 60 days, and then that I'm going to start to crave that routine and it's going to become a habit. And like, I think to that point where it's like both working out, that kind of, it seems like you've been doing that for 3 months now. So you're over the 60 days, and it sounds like that routine that you kind of, that goal that you set for yourself, and then the things that you decided to do each day have now become a habit, and you're seeing that it's something that you crave now, and it's not that
Yeah.
you just have to like force yourself to do it anymore. So
And it's
I
that
think,
comfort too. Yeah, like the comfort that you're talking about, like when you have the same thing that you return to, whether it's like a beer at the end of the workday every day, it's like
yeah,
you just expect that you need that, but you don't. Once you said,
exactly.
Kayla, that you do that 60-day shift or whatever, however many days it is,
Yeah,
it's almost like there's like a new you in a way.
exactly.
Like
Like you're
different
shedding the
eating.
old part,
Yeah.
and it's like you've shed the like need for that old habit that's a bad habit, and now you've created this new habit that's a healthy habit. So it's like it's like pushing yourself through that mental battle for the 60 days, but you can do anything for 60 days. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, then I'm going to want that after the 60 days. So I want to be a better version. I want to have a better habit than the old habits that I had or something. But
Yeah.
um,
And also, Dad, like when I was asking about like what actually changed, like if you is there anything you can speak to that was actually actionable? Like did you start like writing things down of what you were eating? Did you start looking at new recipes? Did like what was the tangible thing, or was there one? Or was it really just a mindset shift of I'm gonna do this? Or
Yeah, it was really, I mean, if you build it into your plan on a daily basis, I think some of the questions here, I think you asked about, how do you make it simple for things? And
yeah.
really, if it's a priority for you, like it's hard when you're raising four kids or five kids or whatever, and you're a mother or father and you have to go to work every day and all that stuff to do that. And you don't have to work out every day of the week. You can work out 3 or 4 days a week. It's just kind of getting your routine. But the thing is prioritizing it. So
yeah,
making it part of your day, not the thing that you cut out if you're out of time. It's the thing that is part of the thing. So one of the things in finance, you guys should learn this early in your 20s, now that you're in your 20s, is to be able to, one of the ways to kind of create wealth and create net worth is um, think of your savings as a payment that you need to make, like a bill, like whether it's a 401k or your brokerage account or something like that. Like that's the first money out the door when you get your paycheck, not the last money that is left over after you do all these other things.
yeah,
If you kind of look at that the same way with your physical fitness, which is my priority is getting up every morning or after work, or wherever it is that you like to work out, that's number one. So
yeah,
everything else kind of goes around that. And
yeah,
so that's really, Maggie, what you asked the question. For me, I'm a morning workout person, and that's what I'm going to do. And I don't care if I need to move a work call. I'm at the point in my career where I can have my work calls when I want them. So
Mm.
it's always after 10 or after 11 or whatever it is so that I can get my long workouts in. But when my day starts that way and it's the first thing I do and I don't let anything else get in the way, whether it's working out from 5 to 7 in the morning or 7 to 9 in the morning or 9 to 11, whatever it is,
yeah,
once you get that, and then if that's the first thing you do and you're not thinking about eating, because it's always easy to eat in the morning, you don't really need to. I just get water in me.
yeah,
And I'm not hungry after that workout. So the first meal of my day is like noon, and it's just a green smoothie, which, I used to not think were that good, but when you're hungry and you taste a banana spinach smoothie, it's like the greatest thing in the world.
yeah,
So
Nature's
that
candy.
I can't wait to have it. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, this is really, really good. And I want to sip it real slow. The
yeah,
same thing with like, you've always been good, Maggie, about snacking on, healthy things. So when I chop an apple up and I'm hungry and I taste it or some watermelon, it's like, wow, how come
yeah,
people aren't eating these things? Because these are really good. When
yeah.
you're hungry and they're healthy, but they're really good. An orange and
Who is my
apple.
dad and what did you do with him?
Yeah, really.
I'm just kidding.
We're the chips and the Cheetos and the Doritos and the
I'm
Triscuits
joking.
and
No,
the
you've
all
oh
that other
yeah.
stuff.
I like
But I
that point
mean,
though too. It's a mindful, but like the mindful eating, where it's not
yeah,
like I'm just eating to eat and
yeah,
like, okay, it's breakfast time, so I'm gonna eat anything. It's like I'm I just did my workout and now I'm like getting hungry at 12 o'clock and I'm having my smoothie and I just went through the process of making it and now I'm gonna sip it and I'm gonna enjoy it. And I think that like mindfulness while you're eating is like such an important part of it because it's like if you just kind of don't think about what you're eating all day. It's so easy to put so much in your body that you don't, first of all, you don't need, you
yeah,
overeat, and then you're not even like enjoying the like you said, it's nature's candy. So it's
yeah.
like it's a treat and you should take it as a treat. So I think that's
The other
important.
Yeah.
thing is like I think boredom leads to, comfort food or stress leads to comfort food. And it's the worst. It's comfort, but it's really not doing anything for you. You know what I mean? And I think when my mind is idle is when I'm at my worst in
Yeah.
terms of, okay, I'm bored. I'm gonna go to the kitchen and hang out in front of the cabinets and look for food. And I'm still not completely over that. I got to get better at that. So the other thing working out does is it makes you tired. It makes you have a good night's rest. So you're ready to go to bed. I never have trouble falling asleep. I still have things with, get in your brain and you're thinking about it. So you might have trouble, occasionally if something's in your brain. But if it's a good workout routine and you're tired from just physical activity, that helps you get to sleep. It's when you're up late and just, like I said, bored or idle mind, where you start eating just because it fills the time. And it's just not even, it's just whether it's good food or not good food, it's stuff that you don't need.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing I like that you said too was about if health is a priority for you, like you make time for it, like you were making the savings example. It's funny, when I was job recruiting and talking to different people, and I finally decided on the job that I was going to get, this one woman who was really helpful throughout the process, I asked, "Do you have any advice for me as I go into the job?" And she kind of knew the job and the role, and she said, "Just set one non-negotiable." She said, "You can have anything thrown at you if you have that non-negotiable and you stick to it every day." And we were talking about the working out because that's what she felt and that's what I felt. But really, depending on what time of life you're in and what you prioritize, what are you going to do for that 1 hour that fills you up, whether it's taking your dog for a walk as part of it or something like that. But so like no matter how your busiest days or what can get thrown at you, you have control over at least 1 hour of your day.
And the
And that
easiest,
provides
yeah.
consistency.
And the easiest time to do that is the beginning of the day because where
Right.
things don't get out of control. So if your non-negotiable is a 1 o'clock workout at,
Not
some
yet.
place in your work, it's going to be hard to do
Can't
if
be
it's
that specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. One of the things could be maybe I don't want to get up at 4 to work out. It's like I'm getting in at X because I'm going to work out from, whatever time to whatever time. So
Yeah.
So that's what I think then. I'm thinking this through as we talk about it. I think when I asked you what was the shift, I think what people have to do is sit down, like a blank piece of paper, clear mind, whatever you are, get in whatever setting you want, and list what is important to you. Like prioritize what's important to you in life.
yeah.
And then that will help you do like, well, I'm doing this because of this.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because of this goal. And that's kind of how I've like been viewing just as I start my career and different things. It's like, what are my long-term goals, no matter how visionary, like however dreamy they are. And like everything that I'm doing, no matter how hard it is in the moment, it's to get to that point. Like I have a reason for what I'm doing. So I think with health and people like starting their health journey or that are still on their health journey or are kind of maybe hitting a rough patch, it's coming back to that why. Like everybody should have their why. And Kayla, we actually talked about Kayla writing a spiritual post because I want to maybe like tap into my spiritual side a little bit more. But even I think that's a huge piece of it. It's like, why do you show up the way you do every day? Kayla, you talk about that a lot. And then a little aside, Dad, this is kind of funny, but Kayla sent me a podcast for the week. Do you know how we share one every
Yeah.
week? She
Yeah.
was like, I don't know what you think about this, but like take a listen. I'm not sure if you'll like it. And what was it called? It was like Mind.
It is like it's know yourself, know thyself, it's
No.
called. And it's
Yeah.
like Deepak Chopra. He's a pretty like
Oh yeah.
spiritual guy in the spiritual community. But
Yeah, but it was so like so I was on a walk and I was listening to it, and at first I was kind of like laughing just because I knew that Kayla was like, "Let me know what you think about it," and I'm not that spiritual. And he kind of sounds a little crazy at first because he's like, "Life is not real. Reality, like this is not reality. Is not everything. Everything that you think is not. Like all these kind of like it almost sound like jargon being thrown around." But then the more you listen to it, it's so true, and it's like the idea of just surrendering to life and what is around you, and life is what it is, and it re removes yourself from it, if that makes sense. There's so much.
Talk to Grandma about it, Grandma Daddy about
You have
Deepak.
to get her on one of these calls.
Well, that's
yeah,
that's my recommendation at the end of the call. We
Okay.
said
yeah,
I don't want to give it away.
she's unbelievable. She knows Deepak, his
yeah,
whole thing.
yeah.
Um,
He's
but
great.
one of the things I want to say is like what we've been focused on is like physical fitness and nutrition. And I know you guys are more than that. To me, like you asked about mental health, how does that play a role in your wellness? To me, the physical equals the mental. Like,
Yeah,
you know, personally, and some people maybe they don't like working out, but I like working out. It's not a job for me. It's not an obligation. I like doing it. And the results of it are, there's the appearance and the physical and you feel good or look good or whatever. That's less important to me than the brain. And it's true about the endorphins and the runner's high. It's just true. I mean, if you work out and work out really hard, it releases serotonin and well, I don't know the physiology of it, but when I don't work out a day or two in a row, I'm a cranky,
yeah,
I mean, so the mental and the physical, it starts with me with the physical, especially kind of almost temporal, in time. If it's early in the day and you get your workout in, then you're ready for the day. You feel lighter on your feet, you feel mentally sharper, and you're just happier. And so the mental, they're equally important, but to me, one leads to the other, not vice versa. Like I got to get in a mindset to go work out. It's
Yeah.
really work out, feeling clear mind. The thing that I think is also important, that's, you talk about balance. Balance, you guys talk about balance all along, work, life, and all that stuff, but just, physical and mental and social and emotional. The social is the thing that I personally work on, is just social connection,
Mhm.
doing things with people, making plans to spend time with the people that you want to spend time with, not so much the people you don't want to spend time
It's a
with.
waste of time. Exactly.
Pick those people. You don't need a huge network of people, whether it's a phone call or a dinner or a meeting or a walk or a coffee or something like that. I don't do a lot of that stuff, so that's kind of an area that I want to work on. But when you go to the physical, to the mental, to the social, when you have the social and like the strong relationships, then I think you got the balance. And it's always going to be, never in perfect balance. You might have, a good day at the gym or a bad day at the gym or work or vice versa, or
And a really fun dinner with
your special partner, or your spouse or your boyfriend or your fiance, has a beef with something that you do, because that's just part of it. You know what I mean? And so it's never going to be a perfect balance. You try to The thing that I respect most about people, including your mother and Maggie, you can't tell her these things, but is just kind of the even keel. She's never up high. I think when you are an emotional person, you have these roller coaster rides where you're down in the dumps, you're really high. And that's a hard person to deal with, both for yourself, deal with yourself, or for other people to deal with you, as opposed to and it's a hard task to kind of stay online, to stay even. And that's a great trait for people to kind of aspire to,
Yeah.
not necessarily attain, but to aspire to not like get so worked up or down in the dumps. And we all know people or ourselves that get that way.
Yeah.
And that's a nice thing to be able to look to. And when you talk about the balance.
Totally.
yeah,
So the relationships are important. We talk about physical and nutrition. A lot of that stuff's just what you're doing by yourself.
Yeah.
It's really about the social connections that you have with people and how you treat people and picking the right spouse and partner. So hopefully you're all on board
be on
with
the
that,
right track.
Caitlin.
Hopefully we're on the right track. Kayla Kill is farther along in the process.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so true. I feel like that's something I've been like hearing throughout the whole conversation. It's like when you're saying your family, you grew up in a family that was always moving, playing sports. You were on sports teams around people who were all kind of being active, whether it was on the sports field or at the playground. And then you kind of shifted into like you married a woman who has played like played college sports and has made like wellness and fitness a priority in her life. And I think to your point, like how it's like none of those are like alone. Like they're all interconnected. So it's like
Yeah,
when you're around people who are like that, you're gonna start moving your body and being physical. And then when you are being moving and you're physical, like your mind gets into a better space and then you show up for the people around you as a better version of yourself and it kind of plays off of each other. So it's like that whole, I think you just saying that, I think it's something I've been thinking as you've been talking. And I think it's such a cool thing of how kind of interconnected that whole kind of the social, the fitness, and the mental
yeah.
wellness is all kind of like
It's picking the right partners. Like I said at Johnny's wedding, it's the best decision I ever made. I don't know if it's Mrs. McCarthy's best decision, but um, that's so key. And it doesn't always work out that way, because there's a lot of people that it doesn't work out, or so that's a big piece of it. It's like what you're saying, Kayla, if you're kind of copacetic and on the same wavelength, then that makes life a lot easier, and a lot easier for the people around you.
yeah,
If you go into a relationship with somebody, I keep equating it to finances, about saving for yourself first, making sure you work out. If you marry a person that is just borrows everything and is high debt, and you're very frugal, don't borrow for anything, that's just an example of,
yeah,
hey, we got to get on the same page. You got to kind of have the same approach to life with
yeah,
your partners and your family. And I talked to Maggie about it. A lot of it is like, to me, material things don't matter very
Yeah.
much at all. They never have.
Yeah.
They're easy to kind of look to, but they don't really fulfill you in any way. And if the sooner people learn, like it's just a natural human condition to want the really fancy cars and the big house and this and that. And
Yeah.
it's just not where it's at, you know what I mean? And the sooner that you can kind of get on that same, whether it's your partner or your family or something like that, and realize that it's the experiences, it's the family, it's you don't need a lot of money to make yourself happy.